Welcome to my series of guides for combat achievements. We'll be looking at how to get the sub 120 Hydra this time. This is one of the more RNG heavy challenges. I'd put it about an 8 out of 10 on the RNG scale. You need pretty good hits, and resetting bad runs isn't worth it due to the slow journey back and starting so far away from the first vent. So you get less attempts per hour than bosses like Zelda or Vorkov, which is part of what makes the RNG feel so rough. Vent timing can introduce a lot of RNG as well, but our method will remove most of that vent RNG. Skill wise, I'd put it about a 7. The click intensity is pretty easy. Most of the fight, you're just T-bowing away, with the occasional one-way switch in between blowpipe and T-bow. The only hard part is the big switch into claws at the end, and then switching back into range, but missing a tick or two at that point isn't a big deal. The thing that earns Hydra a 7 skill-wise is that the method has a tick-perfect setup for the start to optimize event timing, and then some reacting based on how many hits it takes to finish the first and second phase, which can get a little bit confusing. In case some people find this method too confusing, I will start by going over the basics of the fight, and then all the speedrun tips and tricks, so you can take advantage of these even if you don't end up using the special method. And then I'll cover the special method last. Without the special method, the fight might be more of a 5 or 6 skill wise, but then a 9 or 10 RNG wise. So I highly recommend you go for the method. It really improves the odds. After that, I'll finish off by live commenting over a few example runs. Anyways, let's get started here. First, let's start with the gear. Basically, max range and max melee, with claws for special attack, and lunar for venge, and spellbook swapping to summon a thrall at the start of each fight, and some Gufix rest for tick eating and healing without losing ticks, but mostly a bunch of anglers to pre-heal for fights. Now, let's quickly go over the basics of the fight, which will be the vents as well as Hydra's attacks and special attacks. At the start of each phase, Hydra will be shielded. We will call this the Shielded Hydra, and will reduce your hits by 75%. Those 1x1 vent tiles will remove a shield for that phase if Hydra is overlapping the correct one when it sprays the chemicals up. We will call the Hydra that takes full damage the Vented Hydra. The last phase is not shielded. The vents go in order around the room. Going to the next vent before finishing that phase will just increase the boss's max hit, which can give bigger venges. The vents spray every 8 ticks. Hydra alternates between 3 range attacks and 3 mage attacks, and does an animation cue for when it switches. Each phase has a special attack. The first phase shoots acid after the first 3 hits. Moving between T-bow shots when it's doing it will avoid the acid. The second phase does 3 attacks and then fires lightning that follows you. There's a weird trick to avoid this. Just stand on a tile shown here, and once there's a 1 tile gap between you and the lightning, right away click to move diagonally like this, and on the next tick, click on the tile, one left of that. As you can see, the lightning gets stuck, and the other lightning just kind of goes away. If it kills fast, and you think you might lose ticks, you can just tank the lightning here, and the others should miss you. The third phase does 3 attacks, then walls you off in fire, then the fire chases you for a while. You can run or walk away from a fire, stopping for a single tick to shoot when needed, then continuing to move. Ideally though, you will do the fire skip. When Hydra is moving to do the fire special, run to the tile here. When Hydra turns to look at you, delay a tick at least, then move to the tile around the corner. Don't click too early, better to click late. This will skip the flames that chase you. If you're too slow to get into the first tile, Hydra will block you, but you can go over as Hydra looks at you, and then move to the second tile after like normal. The final phase will switch between mage and range every attack. So the first attack will be the opposite of whatever the fire phase last used, regardless of where it was in the 3 attack cycle. This phase will also shoot acid after a few hits. Now, you fully know the basics of the Hydra boss fight. Let's get into the speedrun tips and tricks. First of all, pre-venge and spellbook swap to summon a thrall before the start of each fight. If it seems like you'll be attacking the Hydra while it's shielded, do blowpipe hits until it's about to get hit with chemicals, then switch to T-bow so we can minimize how much damage we waste on the shielded phase. We want to lure the Hydra to the next vent as soon as possible each time, as we want the next phase to get vented as soon as possible. We also want to be able to attack from close up, so we minimize the travel time of our T-bow projectile, as the quicker it hits the boss, the quicker the transformation will happen, and the better the chance the boss doesn't miss the next vent cycle. As long as there's 0 or 1 tiles between you and Hydra, you have the fastest projectile speed. Follow the pathing seen in this video to optimize your Hydra luring. Here's a screenshot if you want to mark the relevant tile markers. Note for the westmost tile, I actually run all the way to the wall, so you can mark the tile one west of it instead. Here's another look at the pathing you should do. At the start, we're just going to the tile markers. As you can see, the boss is on top of a second vent very quick, and in good position for us to stand close to it. For the third vent, I lure the Hydra far enough so that during the lightning skip I'm attacking one tile away, but the Hydra is still standing on the vent, ready for next phase. After phase 3 spawns and gets vented, there's no more vents to worry about, just be ready to do the fire skip and stand close when killing the final phase. You want to take your venges at the end during flame phase ideally. Note that the final phase, as of recording for this video, is bugged and doesn't handle venge properly, dealing only tiny bits of venge damage. Do not venge final phase. Make sure you spend your venges on the flame phase instead if it's a fast run. If final phase venges get fixed, I'll post a pinned comment on this video letting you know. Also, do not use your claw specs unless it is a fast run, as you will need to leave to get back spec, if you do, and the first kill will always be slow because of Hydra's random wandering. You can claw either on flame phase or final phase. I prefer clawing on final phase, but it's personal preference. If you're on a slow kill, you can time finishing the kill so that the next one spawns at a good time relative to the vents, and will get vented as soon as possible. Stand very close to the Hydra, 0 to 1 tile gap away, and try to fire the killing shot 1 tick before a vent goes off. Remember, they go off every 8 ticks. You can either go by feeling, or set your report button to show a tick counter with a report button plugin on Runelight, and then if a vent goes off on tick 1024, for example, you know it'll go off on 1032 next, so you would click on tick 1030 so that you shoot on tick 1031. Personally, I prefer going by feel for this part. I found doing math while prayer clicking the final phase to be very difficult. If ever unsure, better to be 1 tick early, as then Hydra just spawns 1 tick too early, and then you just have to wait 1 extra tick for Hydra to be vented when it spawns. If Hydra spawns 1 tick too late, Hydra misses a vent cycle, and now you have like 7 or something extra ticks of it being shielded, which is very bad. Assuming you did everything correctly, Hydra will spawn and be vented as soon as it walks to the vent tile. Keep in mind though, Hydra will occasionally get death speed up. It's where the death animation of a boss starts 1 tick sooner than usual. Try to watch out for this. Here's what a normal Hydra death looks like. And here's what it looks like with death speed up. And here are the two side by side. Note how as soon as the Hisplat appears, the one on the right instantly begins the death animation, but the one on the left has a slight delay. Feel free to rewind if you need to be able to better recognize when the Hydra gets the death speed up. This means Hydra will spawn 1 tick earlier than expected when you get the death speed up, so it can save you if you attack the tick too late, but makes it spawn too early if you attack correctly. Note that death speed up is usually caused by overkill damage, which is when a boss reaches 0 HP before all the damage hits it. This can happen with multi-weapons like a scythe, or if multiple players or NPCs are attacking the same NPC. It's strange that in this case, the Hydra just randomly gets it sometimes. Note that the thrall is despawned at this point, so there is no overkill damage happening. If ever unsure if Hydra will spawn at the right time or a bit early, you can go by feel of when vents will go off next. Remember, they go off every 8 ticks. Or use a tick counter on the report button, and note whether it goes off at an even or odd number, as it will either always be even or always be odd when you repeatedly add 8 ticks. Knowing if it's even or odd makes it easier to judge, say if you weren't sure whether the event was on tick 81 or tick 82. Then if an event goes off at say tick 2053, the next one is at 2061. So if Hydra spawns before that, that means I need to click 1 tick before the event to make my character attack same tick as the event. So I click on tick 2060 and then attack on tick 2061. Do whatever works for you though, so you attack the same tick the event goes off, and stand where I stand to lure correctly. If you killed Hydra correctly and didn't get trolled by death speed up, then starting the next fight will look like this. Hydra takes 1 step forward, and then you click on it, and you'll fire the same tick it steps onto the vent and gets vented, dealing full damage. This is the ideal start. Now, that's all the speedrun tricks covered. So now we'll go into a special method. This method requires that you start the kill by T-bowing the same tick Hydra gets vented. If you're one tick late, you can replace one T-bow shot with 2 blow-up hits to fix it. Basically, the method is going to be a set number of T-bow shots and blow-up hits, so that we optimize our chances of having good vent cycles. So it's important that we start at the very beginning of the fight the same every time, or if we're one tick late, fix it with 2 blow-up hits, like I said. Based on when the phase transition happens, you will then do a similar pattern for phase 2. We don't need to worry about phase 3. The red phase, as when it dies and phase 4 starts, there's no vents left. It's just phase 1 and phase 2 we need to do this method for. So basically you want to do 5 T-bow hits, followed by 1 blowpipe and 1 T-bow, then 1 blowpipe and 1 T-bow. Then on blue phase, it'll be 5 T-bow hits, followed by 1 blowpipe, 1 T-bow, then 2 blowpipe, 1 T-bow. If you start blue phase by T-bowing 1 tick after vents, instead of same tick, then at the end, just do 1 blowpipe, 1 T-bow instead of 2 blowpipe, 1 T-bow. So it's basically the exact same as P1 was. If you start blue phase ready to T-bow 1 tick before vent goes off, then just stall a tick, so you fire same tick, vents go off. And if you accidentally stall for 2 ticks, it's not a big deal. You're just attacking 1 tick after the vent now, and, well, we already covered how to deal with that. Note that if you kill on the 5th T-bow hit, you'll be attacking 1 tick after vents. If you kill on the 6th T-bow hit, you'll be attacking same tick as vents. And if you kill on the 7th T-bow hit, you'll be ready to attack 1 tick before vents go off. As long as you kill Hydra within one of those 3 T-bow shots, this method works. If you don't, your hits will probably be too bad to get sub 120 anyways, unless the rest of the phases have amazing hits. So for the sake of simplicity, we will just T-bow the rest of a phase if it takes longer than that, and blowpipe after a phase change until Hydra gets vented. If you manage to start the next phase by T-bowing same tick or 1 tick after the vent, then you're set to handle blue phase like explained earlier. Otherwise, just T-bow for simplicity. Something important to note, it's very important that you spawn your thrall at least a couple seconds before the boss spawns, as the thrall must be done its spawn animation and ready to attack as soon as you attack the boss for it to be on the right cycle, as the thrall will be helping us with some overkill in some of the cycles. Also, if Hydra is close to proccing the next phase, so close to 825 HP or 550 HP, you can skip your blowpipe hit and go straight into the T-bow. And if that T-bow procs it, then just do the blowpipe hit you missed on the shielded Hydra, and you're back in cycle as if you did 1 blowpipe, 1 T-bow. If a T-bow noodles, just keep T-bowing this point and hope for the best. Well, we've covered everything now. Some stuff might have been a bit confusing, so we'll commentate over a few runs now to make it all clear. Okay, so we're going to start with the setup kill. We accidentally fire 2 ticks before a vent goes off, and we get the depth speed up. So we're going to have to stall by 2 ticks from our usual timing when the next one spawns. And so here, it spawns, we wait a bit, perfectly time a shot, right as it gets vented. So now we're doing 5 T-bow shots, while doing the pathing we showed earlier. That's the 3rd T-bow hit. After a 4th one, we run to dodge the acid. Now we do a 5th T-bow shot here. It still hasn't phased yet, so we do blowpipe T-bow, and then it phases, so we can now go straight into T-bowing. And that was on the 6th T-bow shot, which meant we can just right away T-bow and be same tick as a vent. So once again, we lure it. That's our 4th T-bow shot so far. It's a 5th one. So then we go into blowpipe T-bow again, blowpipe T-bow, and then now we go into double blowpipe T-bow, but it changed phases. As you can see, it is vented just in time so we can start T-bowing right away, no tick loss. Now that we're on this phase, if it's a quick kill, we should go for our Venge. I'm kind of low on supplies here and just trying to finish the trip, so I don't go for a Venge, but this was a very quick kill. I should have went for it if I had HP. And here you would claw spec. I don't have claws. My spec bar isn't full, my prayer is very low, so I'm just kind of like trying to finish the kill on like 5 prayer points here. But you would claw either on red phase or final phase. I prefer clawing on final phase, since I can just focus on venging red phase then. And one more hit here, and dead. As you can see here, we get a 1:24 time. Would have been a lot faster if we had venges and claws, but yeah, you can see how well the method works. Okay, now here's a very interesting one. Okay, at the start, we get the setup kill perfectly. No depth speed up, and we attack 1 tick before vent. So we'll be set to attack normally. Now, on this run, we are actually unpotted for most of the fight, funny enough, but we end up getting the sub 120 time. We also end up making a couple mistakes, which is unfortunate, but we do get what I like to call the God Cycle, which is essentially when you manage to kill Hydra in like a Hydra phase in just 5 T-bow hits. And we managed to get it for both P1 and P2, which is what I like to call the God Cycle. So starting here, as you can see, we attacked, the same take vents went off. Nice and clean. We do the pathing, that's 3 T-bow hits. Okay, 4 T-bow hits, now watch this. 5th T-bow hit. Bam, procs it and gets def speed up from the thrall, which lets it get vented in time, just barely. And so now here we do 2 T-bow hits, 3 T-bow hits. Okay, I went to the wrong spot here. 4 T-bow hits. I do a blow up here for no reason. It's a mistake, but that's 5 hits total that procced the transition. And if that was a T-bow hit from close up, it would have also procced it, but I was dumb and did a blow up hit for no reason, because I was still learning the method at this point. And that is the God Cycle. As you can see, we are crazy pacing. Basically, 5 T-bow hits is like 15 seconds. That's 30 seconds, and we're already on red phase. And then we killed red phase so quick. Like, and keep in mind, we were on PUD for most of this. Then we do our claws, you know, and our avenging and all that. Like, we're just 1 HP. We were just demolishing this. But yeah, it was such a really interesting one, and really shows off the God phase. Like, if you can get the God Cycle for either one phase or both phases, it makes a huge difference. And that is why doing this method is so big, because normally, even if you hit really big, your RNG will be wasted, because the Hydra will probably just be shielded for like 8 ticks if you manage to kill in 5 T-bow hits. But because of the way we time everything, the thrall, attacking the same tick event goes off at the beginning, the God Cycle is possible, and we can actually take advantage of that good RNG of 5 hitting the boss. Okay, so the last example here. As you can see at the start, we managed to get the step perfectly and no def speed up, so we'll be able to attack it normally once it spawns. Okay, so here it spawns. We click after it takes a step, and we attack perfectly. Same tick event goes off. Now we're doing our pathing. Now we've done our 3 T-bow shots. Fire our 4th T-bow shot, get ready to move to avoid the acid. Do our 5th T-bow shot, still not dead, so blowpipe T-bow. And still not dead, so again, blowpipe T-bow. And now transitions, perfect. So we're going to be attacking 1 tick before it, so we stall for a tick. We messed up here though and stalled by 2 ticks and attacked 1 tick after. So small mistake, but like I said, attacking 1 tick after, that's fine. We just do 1 blowpipe, 1 T-bow later on if we need to. As you can see here, we've done our 5 T-bow hits and we proc it. We got the God Cycle on blue here. Didn't get it for green, but we got it for blue. So that's a huge time save getting that. It's really good. So now we're on red phase. Here, this would definitely be a run worth benging and clawing. But I was going for footage for the guide, so I didn't. But this would definitely be worth it. And, you know, we go for a flame tube here. Now keep in mind, a good way to tell, your thrall should be alive pretty close to when you spawn, like pretty far into red phase. If you're on pace. Or you can have a timer at the top left. Or like a timer you start and stop between runs, if you want, to keep track of if you're on good pace or bad pace. The only issue is I kept forgetting to restart my timer every fight. But as you can see here, we get the time. We didn't take any avenges, but we did double prospect, and we got the 119. Easy as that. So this method is, when you get a God Cycle for either P1 or P2 or both, it's just, your odds of getting a sub 120 are massive. So really important to get the correct start and summon your thrall before a fight begins, so you have a chance of that God Cycle. And yeah, that is the 3 examples, so that's everything covered. Good luck everybody on getting your sub 120 Hydra, and I believe you can master this method. It is worth the practice, and then you can finally make progress on those combat achievements. Good luck everybody. See ya.